male resistance.
Well, hello there, everyone. How you doing? It is Kristi. It's Sunday. I am running late again, and it's time to get back to smashing the patriarchy. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Whenever it is you're watching this, it is currently definitely the last bit of summer, about 90 degrees, almost 100 degrees actually, Fahrenheit, 33 degrees Celsius here in Germany, and the 10th of September. This is the last bit of hot, hot, hot. So I'm soaking it up because I like this weather, but I'm also really chilled and relaxed and looking forward to continuing on to our journey of self-education, when we're looking at different authors talking about patriarchy, different people's takes on patriarchy, and then we're looking at mine, which is I think more complete. Certainly, I really do, before I start, I want to just credit like the movement that gave me the insight. Really about the fundamental flaw of patriarchy was like the trans movement or non-binary, challenging any culture or group that challenged the false gender binary. You all deserve the credit for like helping me see what the true nature of patriarchy was, at least in my opinion. Right, so I guess we're gonna get on with it. I've got us all queued up. Let me transition us over to that screen, and I do need to, maybe I go back to the other one. I'm going to just explain this once and hopefully I won't have to say it again, but so you're going to notice on my headphones here, I got some, it's not like bling or anything, it's not affectation. These headphones started to fall apart, and I just got out some duct tape and stuck that on there. Because I paid 300 euros for these like 3 years ago. I'm not ready to give them up yet. I still like them. They really work, except like this part keeps breaking off. So anyway, you're going to see me with some duct tape on my head. Just FYI, that's what that is. All right, so we all set to go? I think we are. I'll just do a sound check, and as long as it's not overly loud or overly quiet, let me move this mic a little bit, or move the camera a bit. We are going to be good to go. So I guess I should do a wrap up. All right, so yes, for people who are joining us late, or if it's been a while since you watched the last episode, we are looking at Barbara Smuts' article, Evolutionary Origins of Patriarchy. Her thesis is multi-stepped, and so far what she's walked us through is the basic principles of evolutionary theory and the difference between like a genotype and a phenotype. Chromosomes exist in certain ways, certain behavior patterns are successful. However, that doesn't mean that evolution is deterministic. And in particular, because nature has made males physically bigger and females, or at least, well, not, nature hasn't made, like, we've evolved, like our ancestors that we've inherited this from, right? We have a size differential in the human species. It's different in other species. In our species, males on average tend to be larger. And they employ certain strategies, but that ends up basically creating patriarchy within the animal kingdom if we wanted to analyze it from a social perspective, right? I don't think animals are like, damn the patriarchy or anything like that. But what she also goes to great lengths to say is that it's not destiny. Because nature has examples of this doesn't mean we as humans have to do this. And then the next section was she talked about reproductive strategies, and especially with like access to mates and how males in social groups will try to control access to what's fertile females. That's the word I'm looking for. Yet females also employ counter strategies that and maximize their freedom, who they want to go and have some fun with. And so that was set up, this whole principle of male coercion. I think she always has a really nice summary at the beginning. So let's go over the first two, just those italicized, usually like little summary bits. Yes. So her first bit was natural selection favors behaviors that promote individual reproductive success. However, evolutionary theory does not imply genetic determinism. She said in about 12 words what I took 5 minutes to say. And then she talked about the evolution of conflict between the sexes. Males and females. Mammals have different reproductive interests, and these often conflict. Males sometimes employ coercion to resolve conflicts in their favor. You know what? I just had another thing about evolutionary theory that I've occurred to me. I'm sure it's not an original thought, but I want to get it mention this before we go. And now we're coming on to female resistance to male coercion, which is because evolutionary biologists and evolutionary theorists are humans who think about things in terms of rational outcomes and success strategies. We focus, oh no, there's been a value created by the language used by people putting things on, by humans looking at evolution, to say that things that lead to offspring are success. That's an evolutionary success. And one metric, yeah, I guess you can say that. Yeah, you could call that a success and that you're passing on your genes. But for the individuals involved, what this focus, or basically elimination or reduction down to reproduction does is it eliminates all of the social aspects that sex provides. And so, there might be other benefits to the way that sex is organized within a group that isn't about maximizing offspring. So I just kind of like, when you set it up that way, it's really easy to reinforce that false gender binary for humans, because if you import a success model from the animal kingdom without, and then eliminate all the other justifications for intimacy, well, then you're sort of like, you're taking out the humanity of humans, and you're just reducing us to like studs and whatever what the female version is, breeding animals, which we are way more than breeding animals. So we should not just blindly accept models used to describe success created by, yeah. So anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, sorry, but I thought it was like important to say. Let me see. Oh, by the way, I also wanted to say before we start, I'm really going to start then, is that someone called me out and thank you for not updating the Discord link. They patiently, like, they came back after several days and it hadn't been updated. I don't know who you were in the comments, and I'm really sorry, but I do have a fresh one in below. So you should be able to click on that one and join the group. All right, now, female resistance to male coercion. That's the section we're going to get through today.
Female resistance to male coercion. Female primates have several means of resisting and thwarting male coercion. Thus, in many primate societies, male control over female sexuality is limited, and in some primates, females seem to be entirely free of male sexual control. The evolutionary origins of Patriarchy 9. Several examples illustrate the variety of ways in which female primates resist male coercion. In rhesus monkeys, discussed earlier, females form strong, lifelong bonds with their female kin, and females cooperate to protect their female relatives against male aggression. This pattern of forming long-term bonds with female kin is common in many Old World monkeys, and in all of these female-bonded species, females band together against males. Females are especially likely to cooperate with one another to defend infants against aggressive males. Females also prevent certain males from joining their groups and will sometimes drive males out of their groups, occasionally wounding or even killing them in the process.
All right, let's break that down. Women were the first organizers. Like, females are the original unions. I mean, okay, you want to talk about males and hanging out in groups and stuff. But this is like, this is like solving an individual problem with collective action. This is understanding that the power of the many helps to elevate the power of the individual. And I think that that's super cool. If anything, I keep coming back to that. What was it, that channel called What If History? Who said that women biologically are incapable of cooperation because we didn't hunt together. And one, women hunted, girls hunted, oftentimes while multitasking. And two, actually, like, women's unity or female unity is grounded in primates, not just in humans. It's like such a part of the social structures that we are embedded in. So the sexism and the ignorance, like, the deeper I get into patriarchy stuff, just the more profoundly ignorant that statement is. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So yeah, collective action. You're banding together. That is how you counter the power of a single individual who wants to control you, right? Oh my God, it's like, oh, all right. Okay. We just had this moment. Like, okay, so as a grown-up, I just had to, like, oh my God, we were always destined for daddy issues, is what the sentiment is in my mind. And here's how I'm going to say it. Like, so as I grew up and became an adult, I started to see my parents, as you do, not as my parents, but as people. And as I got to know my dad as an adult, he told me stories about his childhood. And his childhood was messed up. Like, it was just, and the thing is that, my grandfather, who was not the best parent, probably had as bad or worse upbringing, right? So I had this moment of clarity. And, I think we all have issues with our parents, mommy issues or daddy issues. But when he told me, like, how his childhood, I understood him so much better. I was like, oh my God, I was destined for daddy issues. Like, I was like, this was built in because of the practices that are handed down. And when I look at this example of an individual, almost like, a monarch, an authoritarian, who can make decisions effectively, but, has to rule over by taking power from others, versus the collective that have a harder time making complex decisions, even though they can band together, usually over simple ones, who want to resist that, right? And it's like, that's not even just a human issue. Like, that's not, I just had this moment where I realized, even though I've read this before, like, humans and our battle between executive power and legislative, the collective versus the individual, and the benefits and drawbacks, and how we are trying to always balance those needs and conflicting interests. We didn't do that by accident, or we didn't mess anything up. We were destined to have these fights. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm just having a mind exploding moment, realizing how beyond our own free will most of the stuff that we've done in history is. Okay, I'm going to process. You can listen.
Male aggression is constrained in female-bonded species not just because of the threat of female coalitions, but also because females in these groups hold considerable king-making power. In rhesus macaques and vervet monkeys, for example, a male's quest to achieve and maintain high dominance status is strongly influenced by the support of high-ranking females. The male's reliance on female support makes them reluctant to challenge dominant females. For instance, in one troop of rhesus monkeys, the observer never saw any high-ranking males show aggression toward the alpha female, and in vervet monkeys, high-ranking females often refuse male copulation attempts, sometimes hitting the males to send them away, and the males simply give up. Female primates also reduce their vulnerability to male aggression by
All right, so let's just break down that paragraph, because again, from a political science point of view, this is holding power. Right, that's what that for that first one was collective aid, like collective action. and group identity and group solidarity. This one is like representation, substantive, descriptive, right? Maybe it's ritualistic, but here's the like power is distributed. It's not just held by one. And so then other members have to negotiate to get access to some of that power. So it's more, other people are invested. So yeah, I just think it's fascinating to think about the way that humans have come to similar solutions or similar variations in not just patriarchal power, but just power generally. Again, kind of like freaking out a bit. But yes, this is about the degree to which females hold power as status in the community is going to, as you see, be very important to how much violence is perpetrated against females versus when it's not.
Forming long-term, friendly relations.
I'll start that paragraph over again.
Female primates also reduce their vulnerability to male aggression by forming long-term, friendly relationships with particular males. For instance, in the olive baboons that I studied for several years in Kenya, each adult female formed a long-term relationship, which I called friendship, with one or two of the 18 adult males in the group. Friends traveled together, fed together, and slept together at night.
Aww. That's so sweet. Again, not everything has to be about sex.
They also frequently engaged in friendly interactions, like grooming and huddling. The male protected his female friend and her infant against aggression by other troop members, including other males. The female, in turn, often showed marked preferences for mating with her friends, willingly forming consortships with them and cooperating when they tried to mate. Her bond with one or two particular males reduced the amount of harassment she received from other males.
Hey, polyamory. Yeah, that's just a much better distribution of power and autonomy. It's so cool that we have that model in nature when people point to Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. You're like, hey, what are they, Reese's? Which kind of baboons? Olive baboons? Yeah, she's got like 2 or 3 friends she sleeps with, and they look out for each other. Okay.
These examples indicate that, far from being helpless victims of male control, female primates typically have several means of resisting males and asserting their own interests. Thus, although male primates typically are larger than females, this does not mean that they always win when they have conflicts of interest with females. Their larger size is balanced by the fact that females cooperate against males, whereas it is also males seldom cooperate against females.
Interesting. Again, male cooperation. Women will band together to protect each other, but from other males, but not males from females. Interesting.
It is also balanced by the fact that females form long-term bonds with particular males who protect them, and by the fact that, in many species, females have king-making power, which constrains male use of force against them. Note that all of these ways in which females resist or prevent male coercion involve supportive social relationships, sometimes with other females, sometimes with males, and sometimes with both. In addition, in a number of primate species, male coercion of females is rarely, if ever, observed. These include most of the monogamous primates, such as titi monkeys, gibbons, and siamangs, in which males and females are the same size, and also some species that live in multi-female, multi-male groups such as the New World woolly spider monkey and the pygmy chimpanzee, or bonobo, see below. Why male aggression toward females is so low in these species remains an important question for future investigation.
Again, it's just kind of mind-blowing to me that given how much we've studied animal behavior, that this dynamic, which is so important, right, to like reproductive success strategies, it's not just some simplistic thing that is presented in textbooks. It was in 1993 under investigated, and one of the notes that I have is I'd like to know if anyone has done follow-up work on this to see. Although I'm not like into animal behavior, more on the what are the dynamics, sort of thing.
In summary, in many primate societies, females are able to resist and thwart male attempts to control them sexually, and in several other primates, males rarely try to coerce females. However, in a few species, females appear to be unusually vulnerable to male coercion. This evidence suggests that the extent of male power over females varies widely across different primates. Before considering non-human primates further, I will draw our own species into this discussion, which brings me to the fourth step in my argument.
And there we're going to pause. This might be a short one today, but who knows, the next one might be longer. I'm just going to have a little, yeah, this is a bit. There's a whole thing. And she goes through her hypotheses. So this episode might be a bit on the short side, but next one is probably going to be much longer. All right, but while I'm here, do I have a window for the chat? That's not the one. That's not the one. I think I can add one. Windows capture. Pop out. Oh, yeah, I think. Oh, that it didn't even need a transition. It just sort of happened. So, hello, everyone. Sorry, got the hiccups today. Let's see. By the way, so hi to By Pagan Man, to Faye Queen Corey, to, is it Jovan? Anyone smashing the patriarchy? Woohoo! BigZebra.com. Let's see what y'all are just saying. The reason why this kind of thing is ignored is because of how humans tend not to view themselves as the animals they are. Yeah, true. On the one hand, we make appeals to nature and all that sort of stuff, but we feel like we're not an animal, you know? We've got this, I would call it like a cognitive dissonance going on. It's interesting that animals organize to resist this. Yes, what sense of justice do animals have? There is some interesting, sorry, I'm going to have to just clear my throat for a quick second. There are some interesting and not Sam Harris-based discussions on the internet of like common moral frameworks, and oftentimes they're I would say more broadly taboos are around similar things that things that would make any society work more smoothly. So in divisions of property, however fair, but clear lines about what property belongs to whom, so that's not a constant fight. There might be challenges. Just social interactions, like don't murder, don't attack, don't be a jerk kind of stuff. And then when we get up to human beings, it's more varied. But generally, things that cause harm to people you care about or yourself is where most morality starts, trying to avoid that. Gender violence and ecofeminism perspective, intersections of animal oppression, patriarchy, and domination of the earth. All right, Scribby, thank you so much. You are the person who always makes me feel inadequate for my lack of reading, but also then I envy you and you inspire me. So let's have a quick look at that. Oh, don't be a book, please. I can't read a whole book on this. I can only read like one article. So the way that it works with fair use is that you're able to use one chapter of a book or one article out of a journal, which means, I mean, I could read this, the chances of two articles that I would want to look at being in the same journal are so small, so low. Yeah, the book, I can't do books. I need, ideally something that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative Commons, open access, at least. So next time, she's gonna get, okay, you know what, I'll go back. I was there, I changed my mind. Let's look a little bit at her hypotheses as a preview for what is coming up, because we've got like 5 minutes. I don't want to make it too short. So her first hypothesis will be, among ancestral hominoids, female ability to resist male aggression was comprised by reduced social support from kin and female allies. So one of the things that she does here, she starts, well, okay, maybe she does in the article above, but as a preview, she will observe that the societies where females are exposed to the most violence are the ones where they don't have a family support network, where they don't have a female solidarity group that they can join, and that they're isolated, usually by living with the male's like family. So when you take a female out of all of her networks and social networks and deny her a social network in this new community, then she is the most exposed to violence. And then on the other spectrum is when females grow up in the communities into which they were born and they have lifelong relationships and there's a female unity ethos in that group, then her chances of violence are the least. And as I've always said, the core of patriarchy is violence. So I'm not like, this is the core of patriarchy. The core of patriarchy is male violence. And it can be male violence directed at a lot of different types of people, but it all starts with male violence. Hypothesis 2. Over the course of human evolution, male-male alliances became increasingly well developed. These alliances were often directed against females, and they increased male power over females. I think we can just look at history and see that that's true. It's not a hypothesis. It's just a statement of fact. But she has to then, of course, demonstrate her claim, which she will go on and attempt to do, which we haven't looked at, so we don't know if she's convincing. Well, I've looked at it, so. But hypothesis 3. Over the course of human evolution, and particularly since the advent of agriculture and animal husbandry, males gained control over resources that females need to survive and reproduce. This increased male ability to control and coerce females. Also, like if you get in a cycle where males are committing violence against violence and then they're attacking women as part of that strategy, then the oppression of women to protect them becomes rational, and thereby that system of male violence against males feeds into the oppression of everybody else. Is that the last hypothesis? Well, let's take a look. Hypothesis 4. Over the course of evolution, male socio-political arrangements increased the variance in male wealth and power and perpetuated family differentials across generations. As a result of increasingly unequal relationships among men, women became increasingly vulnerable to the will and whims of the few most powerful men. Women's control over their own sexuality was greatly reduced. Again, not a hypothesis, just a statement of fact. Hypothesis 5. This is going to be a long section, so we're definitely not going to get through all of this next time. Hypothesis 5. In pursuing their material and reproductive interest, women often engage in behaviors that promote male resource control and male control over female sexuality. Thus, women, as well as men, contribute to the perpetuation of patriarchy. I've said that it's easiest to, in any situation of oppression, convince the oppressed that oppression is noble. I think that's just like a paraphrase of Nietzsche. Hypothesis 6. The evolution of the capacity for language allowed males to consolidate and increase their control over females because it enabled the creation and propagation of ideologies of male domination, female subservience or subordination, and male supremacy to meet female inferiority. Now on this, I just want to say, go look at my thing on the social construction of reality discussion that I had last night. It was a lot of fun to talk to John and to hear his perspective. And I'm just going to say, like, the problem with the Platon and the forms and all that is you have to explain that there's a form, there's a plane of existence, an abstracted plane where these idealized forms exist, and they don't exist in space and time, and like how do we access blah 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 blah, and that's how ideas come into the world. Or like just Occam's razor, and be like, people came up with it, like people came up with ideas. Isn't that just easier than to say this? But it was still an interesting talk and a lot of fun. But that's where I fall down with the Platonists. That's the whole causality ends up looking like a Rube Goldberg machine of unnecessary complexity, given people could just come up with the idea. We do it all the time. All right. We already did hypothesis 6. So I think that was, okay, the 6 hypotheses is what we have to get through. We will not get through all 6. We will maybe get through 3. But you have that to look forward to. Aren't you excited? Looking forward to it? All right. So get back to me. Where did I go for the chat? I think I went here. Yes, I just need to. There we go. There now. Well, that's kind of a lot on the screen. I'll probably just move that down. All right. Watch out, lava lamp's about to blow. Not quite. By Pagan Man. Separating from support systems is a common action in abusive relationships. You got it right on the nose. Speaking of violence, Smuts was wondering about less violence toward females in bonobos compared to chimps. Thought bonobos were less violence than chimps in general. I don't remember that line. The PDF is below, but I'll be going through the rest of it. I know that she does talk about bonobos, I think, again later on. I'm a bit multitasking. Yeah, I get you. I'm doing a live stream while listening to an article and interpreting it. Why can't they transfer their aggression to overly complicated role-playing games like everybody else? Agreed. Big Zebra. If we just had more D&D, we'd have much less violence in the world. I enjoyed the talk last night, Scribby writes. Have you seen The Knowledge Argument by Frank Jackson? I have not, but I don't know if you can put links in my chat. Maybe you can put it in the comments. I've got a little time to kill before my my Pathfinder game tonight, so I could check it out. All right, well, thank you all. It is getting near the bottom of the hour. I do try to keep these to 30 minutes because I think I set the ads to roll at minute 24, which is the longest that they could make it. So I'll probably see a lot of drop off at 24 minutes. But yeah, same time, I'll just say next weekend. I end up because, okay, so here's the thing is, I was doing so much on a Sunday, I wanted to switch things to a Saturday, just sort of spread it out, because otherwise I was having to prep a show and prep my D&D, and then go to work the next day, and it was getting to be a bunch. But the thing is that I can only really like clean my house, or move things around, or do loud things on a Saturday, and I usually do them in the middle of the day, because I can't do them early in the morning, I can't do them late at night, which is when I'm supposed to be. So we're just going to check the Discord. Or show up Monday and enjoy it afterwards. All right, everyone who stopped by, thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And until next time, I've been Kristi. You've been awesome. Where's my window to close us out? I don't see it. Oh, all right. You're seeing behind the curtain. You're looking at how the show is made. All right, so where was I? I've been Kristi. You've been awesome. Have a great weekend wherever it is, whenever it is you are, and I'll see you back here next time.